Okay. All right. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'm going to jump right into it. So this was made back in 2005, and uh, this is my family here, and foster kids, and this was the home we were living in. I was working on cars at home at night. I was a mechanic for Honda for about 15 years, so I'd fix cars, and I had a paper out in the morning. I was delivering 200 newspapers every morning. This was our van, our 1989 Dodge Caravan. And I just felt like this guy in the lower left corner, this is me here. And you wouldn't recognize me, back then from how I am today. But just struggling. I think a lot of people can relate to working long hours, not having enough money to get through the month. And I was losing my health, my energy, my enthusiasm. And just kind of, that whole living for the weekend, and it just wasn't working. But I'm a very ambitious person. I have great dreams and hopes and aspirations, but it was just, it was a really hard time for me I was 36 then, and it got so bad. I was losing my health that I was praying for God to take my life or help me, find a solution. And I was serious about both. And I was in the process. I was always trying to make things better, trying to find better solutions. But it wasn't working. So that's kind of the scenario that led me up to being introduced to isogenics. And then what resulted because of that is why I'm here with you today, 13 years later, very filled with passion and purpose and impact in the world, and completely changed the dynamics for our family. And so I just become very passionate about it, because it's not something that I've just been able to do for me. It's for anybody that chooses in, anybody that says yes. And because me and my wife said yes, and kind of in a nutshell, we decided we would start sharing proactively after about 4 or 5 weeks. And we just hit over 295,000 people in our organization this week, not in the company, just in our group that started with just me and my wife. So it's making a huge impact in the world. And where I was at when we were introduced to this company and their solutions, because I already, thought I knew all the solutions. And what happened was my wife ran into a booth at an expo, and they were telling her about how great their products are. But what she really noticed was that each person that was at that booth looked great. They looked healthy, like they were the epitome of health. And they all had their own story, and they all had their own before pictures. Just like I have mine here. This is the day before I started on isogenics. We advise people to take their before picture before they get started, because people aren't going to recognize what you used to look like when you look great. So, and it's just a real testimony. So at that time, I was eating oatmeal with just hot water in it. I was eating tuna right out of a can. Sometimes I'd put it in the salad. I'd squeeze lemon over the salad, no ranch dressing. I was supplementing. I was a wrestler in high school. I took second place in California. I knew how to eat right, and I knew how to exercise extreme. And that's what I was doing right here for about 2 months. And it wasn't working. It's probably about the third or fourth time that I'd really committed to doing it. And I'm just going to use willpower, and I'm going to do it this time. And it's just interesting that led up to Carrie, discovering this company and their products. Now, when she was at the booth, she went over and grabbed me and put me in front of the booth and said, "Listen to these guys. I think they have the answer." And I didn't listen. I took their card. I was very skeptical, and I threw it away. But Carrie really, being persistent, she entered a drawing in hopes to win some product so that she could do it. And she won. She won some products, you guys. This system right here was called the 9-day system back in 2005. And when she won it, I said, "All right, I'll do it with you." And that was the answer to our prayers, and better answer to my prayer than I could have ever have imagined, as it's played out now over the years. Now, I got on the products, and this is 25 days later. I had released 27 pounds, and I was at a plateau right here, you guys. In fact, the guy said, "Look, and just so you don't make a mistake and think that all of a sudden your exercising is kicking in, don't exercise for the first month." And Malcolm did the same thing. Malcolm released 25. I released 27 with no exercise. Then I started exercising, stayed on the program. I love this stuff. I've had a shake today already. I'll have another one this evening. There's no way anybody could ever get me to stop taking these products. They gave me my life back. In fact, in the first week, it's a pretty profound statement, but my wife says she got her husband back in the first week. So when you're dealing with nutrition should happen immediately, right? If you're getting everything that your body needs and getting it assimilated. And that's what this is. So when I started learning about the science behind it, that's when I got excited about sharing it with other people, because I knew I could be a difference maker in their lives. And that's what I was as a mechanic. I truly felt like I was a difference maker for people because I was an honest mechanic and did quality work. But changing people's health is way more satisfying than changing their oil. And it keeps your fingernails a lot cleaner too. So my wife appreciates that. Now in 2009, we were introduced to a geneticist, our company was, and his name's Dr. Bill Andrews. And this product, with him collaborating with our formulator, is a result. And this is literally the breakthrough. This is the greatest discovery of our time. Yeah, I'd say actually the greatest discovery of all time. It's literally turning back the clock in our cells, because anything that's alive wants to thrive. Would you agree with that? And we have an innate ability, our bodies have an innate ability to heal themselves. When I do live presentations, and I've done over 2,000 in the last 6 years, I ask, who believes that the body has an innate ability to heal itself? And everybody raises their hand. There isn't anybody that disagrees with that. And then we have to ask the question, then why are we in a health crisis? Why is everybody so sick? Why was I like this if my body has an ability to heal itself? And it's because of what we're putting into the body, supplement or otherwise. I want to go over the science behind this particular product and how it's turning the clock back. Now, adding this to my lifestyle with Isagenix, it took me back to my junior in high school wrestling weight. And I'm not talking just about like the fitness and the muscle. I'm talking about stamina, mental clarity, recovery, just all the things that, like, when I was younger, in fact, I would say I'm in better shape now than I was when I was 16 in wrestling at 50. So let's hold a magnifying glass over the science of this and really get into it. And then we'll answer any questions at the end. So when I changed my health, this whole scenario changed, right? Because attitude determines altitude. And it's not just a physical transformation. There was a mental transformation. I mean, we have a solution for everybody when it comes to Isagenix. And it had a solution for me in every area of my life. I could truly say with integrity that every area of our lives are better because of Isagenix. So these are the 4 pillars right here. I'm going to touch mostly on the isogenesis, and then I'm going to cover the shake and the cleanse, and I'll talk a little bit about the Ionic Supreme. But I'm going to cover mostly this right here. All right, but everything here is important. Each one of these products have a science behind them that has earned a Nobel Prize. And when you partner that up with the company's abilities and their commitment to quality and the customer. In fact, Isagenix's motto is, if it's not right for the customer, it's not right for the company. And so you put all of those things together, and it's the perfect storm of opportunity for us to be able to allow this living thing to thrive, right? And that's what I was talking about before I went off on a tangent there, is that anything that's alive wants to thrive. So here is where I was doing everything I knew to do, but it was incomplete. I put Isagenix in, and all of a sudden my body and my mind starts to thrive, okay? So I want to go over the science first of this telomere support product. Now here's a human cell. The middle of every cell is called the nucleus, and the nucleus contains the chromosomes. And so here's some chromosomes over here. Now telomeres, most people don't even know they have one. And they're on the caps of they're on the tips of the chromosomes. They're like the cap on the end of a shoestring that holds the shoestring strands together. The telomere is like the cap on the end of the chromosome that holds the DNA together, these nucleic bonds where these colors come together. So this is your DNA. And your DNA is what runs your cells. So I made a rope. I was mentored by Bill Andrews, the geneticist. And when he talked about the shoestring, being the mechanically minded, I ran down to Lowe's and picked up a rope and got some red electrical tape. And I made a chromosome. And this is a perfect chromosome. Now what's happening is the telomere is degenerating. Now the innate ability of the body is that it can keep the telomere like this. But we're so suppressing that ability that the telomere is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So that's a degeneration. The domino effect is that the DNA is getting damaged and more damage and even more damage. Once you reach a certain level of damage to the DNA, the cell shuts down and you'll die of a degenerative disease. So the symptoms of aging in every degenerative disease has now been linked to the length of the telomere. And it's Nobel Prize winning research. So what I'm going to share with you is factual. And just to go back to what I said earlier, most people don't even know they have a telomere. So the information that I get to share with people, to the general public, is I love it. This is making a huge difference, like it did for Malcolm in his life with his wife, and so many other people. So when the telomere reaches a point called senescence, that means death of the cell can no longer operate. If you think of DNA like software in a computer, then if you lose enough DNA, the cell is going to crash. Now, before it crashes, and you lose, not enough DNA to make it crash, but you're losing quite a bit of software or DNA, you're going to have problems. There's going to be glitches. There's going to be things that just don't run optimally anymore. They give you problems. Well, that would be things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, lupus, dementia, loss of vision, loss of hearing, osteoporosis, liver disease, kidney disease, thyroid disease, ALS, Parkinson's, lupus, fingernail issues, skin issues, needing a knee replacement. All of those are a telomere issue because it's the cell's inability to function optimally because it's losing software or DNA. Again, this is factual. This is what was awarded the Nobel Prize. Now, Bill Andrews knew an awful lot about the body's ability to heal itself, even on a telomere level. There's a gene that's in every chromosome, and it could actually produce an enzyme called telomerase and repair that damage. The only thing is we're going backwards. We're going the other way. We're shortening the telomere faster than we ever have through something called accelerated telomere shortening. And it really has a lot to do with the processed foods and the chemicals that are in them. So pre-teenagers, front page of USA, April 2012, most people wouldn't even have really understood the article, but it said that children, pre-teenagers, their telomeres are 10 years shorter than they used to be, meaning we're accelerating the telomere shortening. Now partner that up with a whole nother article from the Surgeon General that has nothing to do with telomeres, but lifespan. The Surgeon General said it's the first generation of children that won't live as long as their parents. Why? Because they're getting to senescence faster than they used to. And along the way, they're going to have these degenerative diseases at younger and younger ages, and we see that. So that's the domino effect. If we had healthy telomeres, we would have no degenerative diseases, and we would look healthy and young. And we see some people who are older who look younger. It's because they're avoiding those things that cause the accelerated telomere shortening, like trans fats, smoking, alcohol, stress. And then people who are younger who look older, they're actually exposing themselves to those things that accelerate the telomere shortening much more. And then we could actually pinpoint areas where we're really accelerating it. Like they know that cigarette smoking, the chemicals in cigarettes shorten your telomeres faster. So I don't smoke, but if you compared my telomeres in the lung area to that of a smoker, the smoker is going to have the shorter telomeres. So what is the smoker going to develop that I wouldn't? Emphysema, lung cancer, COPD, those types of things. And we know that that's related to smoking. Now we know why. The smoking has shortened the telomeres faster. Where my telomeres are longer in the lung area, I'm not going to develop those things. Factually, it's not going to happen because those cells don't malfunction. And so my pulmonary system's working awesome, right? So there's a lot of different chemicals and a lot of different things out there. Digestive systems really wreaking havoc because of trans fats. All right, so Bill Andrews is the one who identified the gene in the chromosome. That's why he's being featured in Popular Science. They knew it was there, but nobody could prove how it's doing it. And Bill did in 1994. He identified it on a molecular level. And then he invented the equipment and started working with human skin cells. And he got the human skin cells to go from damaged DNA to it repairing the DNA and the telomere, re-lengthening it. So it went backwards. It went from here to here to here, back to that, and repaired the entire chromosome in a human skin cell in a petri dish. Okay, and he got Inventor of the Year runner-up for doing that. But it's a very controlled environment, and it was just a next step in this process. It kind of fell on, not deaf ears, but it didn't catch anybody's attention really, except for a few researchers, Harvard being one of them. And so here I am with Bill Andrews. I have a video on this, but I'm not going to play the video here. I do on some of the other presentations. But it's Bill Andrews endorsing what I'm sharing, because I put this presentation together based on what I learned from Bill. And he said, Dave, that's the best presentation I've ever seen to make something really complicated, easy to understand. So it really is about helping people to understand and not talk about it on a scientist level. None of us would understand, right? So I want to bring this down to a grassroots level, and we've been very successful at it. Now, more than a decade later, after Bill Andrews had identified human telomerase, he had activated it in the human skin cells in a petri dish. By 2009, more than a decade later, they had tested over 304,000 compounds in the human skin cells, trying to find something you and I could consume. And all they had found at that point was chemicals. They couldn't find anything that was safe for us to consume. No pharmaceutical, nothing holistic. They exhausted the botanical world. They exhausted the pharmaceutical world and actually started inventing their own chemicals. So that's where they were at in 2009. Now, what you're looking at here, this graph with the yellow lines and the red lines, that's an assay. And Bill's equipment, when they test, if the line turns red, it's growing the telomere back. So out of 304,000, they found 7 chemicals that actually grew the telomere back in the human skin cells. So, but that we couldn't take those chemicals. Now, what resulted from Bill's research and working with the human skin cells is Harvard piggybacked off of Bill's research, and they were able to do it in mice. And this is a little clip by ABC News.
And now, eternal youth. Is it in a cage around the corner? News tonight of a breakthrough for some pioneering mice. But we always wonder, what does a fountain of youth for rodents reveal for humans? Here's Sharon Alfonsi reporting.
I feel tremendous.
In the movie Cocoon, it's a swimming pool that turns back the clock for a group of senior citizens. But now researchers have found a way not just to stop, but reverse the aging process. The key is something called a telomere. We all have them. They're the tips or caps of your chromosome, seen here in yellow. This is what it looks like in a young adult. But as you grow older, the telomeres become damaged and frayed, and as they stop working, we start aging, experiencing things like hearing and memory loss. Scientists took mice who were prematurely aged, added an enzyme, and essentially turned their telomeres back on. You can see it before the enzyme, after.
Their brain function improved, their fertility was restored. It was a remarkable reversal of the aging process.
Look at this picture. The mouse on the right has bad skin, gray hair, and is balding. But the one on the left had its telomeres flipped back on.
And you could see that essentially you now have a dark coat color, that the hair is restored, that the coat has a nice healthy sheen to it.
Even more dramatic, the change in brain size. This is before. The mice had 75% of a normal brain, like a patient with severe Alzheimer's. But after the telomeres were reactivated, the brain returns to normal size.
Okay, this is why the Nobel Prize was awarded to this research, was right after they did this with the mice. When they activated this gene that produced the enzyme telomerase, they saw it repair the DNA in the mice. And prior to that, they didn't know that DNA in a mammal could repair. Once it was gone, it was gone. And we're mammals. So this really showed the possibilities for us as humans. And what I realized very quickly was that this was the foundation of health, was the telomeres on the ends of the chromosomes in the middle of every cell. Because when that changed, all of the cells mirror reflected what the DNA was telling it to do. In fact, their bones grew back without changing their diet. Their cognitive ability was restored. Even the atrophy of the brain was restored, where it grew back. It did that with their bones. Their organs started operating optimally. Their cardiovascular system. In every parameter, like Dr. DeFino said, it reversed the symptoms of aging and disease in the mice. So that's a big deal, right? And that's why, again, the Nobel Prize was awarded to this. Now I'm going to go from the science and the research to this collaboration, and where I was introduced to Bill and started to learn from him, and then the company was partnered up, was in 2009. I call it science meets wellness. So Bill Andrews is the scientist, the geneticist, and John Anderson is the nutritional formulator and founder of Isogenics, along with Jim Coover and Kathy Coover. Now, so there's John, there's Bill, this is Peter Greenlaw. He's the one that got these two gentlemen together. And John Anderson's been formulating nutritional products for over 40 years now. He was Nature's Way, GNC, Met-Rex, over 600 companies. In fact, he formulated for the United States military. He made the MREs for the military. And he started his own company in 2002. He was tired of the compromise. He says there's not one instance where when I made over 2,500 different health products that they weren't compromised, the quality. And he said it was frustrating. He didn't own the companies. He was hired as a private label manufacturer to put together products when companies would hire him to do that. And he said, I didn't have control over the end product. And he says there's not one instance, not one, where they didn't compromise the quality of the product in order to make a bigger profit. And so the end user, he says that's very unfortunate for the end user, the customer. And it was frustrating for me as a formulator, putting all of my time and passion and effort into understanding the botanical world so that we could just go ahead and allow the body to thrive. And he said I could have people looking different and feeling different in 3 to 5 days. That's easy with nutrition. But it's a matter of getting a company that will actually support that. And so he started his own company in 2002. So here they are in 2009. Bill's being introduced to John Anderson because John Anderson's proprietary way of formulating. Without going too deep, he knows how to look into a plant. He invented a process that nobody even knows how he does it. And then identifying the blueprints within a plant, the phytochemicals, and then being able to extract them in a proprietary way and putting them together in a proprietary way. So it's really complicated. And he said, nobody will ever figure out how I do it. And nobody will even take the time to do what we do. It takes a lot of time to put one product together and get it right. So that's why Peter Greenlaw knew that if he could get Bill introduced to John, Bill could teach John about telomeres and telomerase, because John didn't understand that. And John said from the stage here, I had heard of telomeres, but I didn't know the role they played. Now that I know, I've never been more excited. I truly feel like this is everything in my life has prepared me for this. And so they wrote up a contract, and John said, I feel very optimistic. I would have formulated for him a long time ago had I known all this about them. So he started sending formulations over to Bill's lab. And here's what happened. In the first 15 that Bill sent, they got a hit. It activated telomerase in the human skin cells in the petri dish, started growing the telomere back. And Bill Andrews in the video in a documentary says, and I play that in a different presentation, he said, we have to admit we thought he was lucky because we test thousands and thousands of natural ingredients. We exhausted the botanical world and we didn't find any hits. And he sends us 15 and he gets a hit. And then he sends us another 15 and gets another hit. In 120 attempts, he got those 7. So these are all natural ingredients ready to be used by humans right now. Bill Andrews said, I've never been more excited. John Anderson's a genius. He's the most knowledgeable man we've ever worked with when it comes to working with natural ingredients. And the first thing he wants to know is, how is John getting these ingredients to do this? Because they tried these ingredients over here and they didn't work. And John Anderson says that's going to remain proprietary. We're going to be committed to the quality. We're not going to change it up. We're going to keep the price at a price that everybody could afford to be on it. And not only that, we're going to get the product better and better. We're just getting started. And so they released the product, and I immediately started doing meetings about the science and the research, and then moving into this holistic approach to supporting telomeres. And I just need to say here compliantly that we're not making any claims around curing any illnesses or diseases. We're supporting the innate ability of the body to thrive. And we're doing it on a level that it's never been done before. This collaboration is why it happened, you guys. Do you see the role that each one of these played? And even Peter Greenlaw, that's why I show Peter Greenlaw. Let me just show that again right here. Peter Greenlaw needs to be recognized in this collaboration that has created this. Because it took Peter a long time to do it. It wasn't something he just made a phone call and it happened. It took a lot of persistence on Peter's part. Now, the product has gotten better and better. We're over 25 different hits. And we're on what's called 4th generation. But on 3rd generation, I got a call from Bill, and he said, Dave, get a little group together in Las Vegas. This was a really exciting time for Bill. He'd been in interviews. He'd been on radio shows. He's all, I believe, my personal opinion is we're going to get the Nobel Prize for this product because the results that we're seeing, it's a phenomenon. I've never seen anything like it. And these results are worthy of a Nobel Prize. Now, he said that will take a long time when the majority of society is on it. So John got it better and better. And Bill I got this phone call from Bill, and he said John did something he said would be impossible to do from a natural botanical. Found 2 hits that went off the charts. Now we're way past that, where there's over 25 different hits, these red lines. And the more, the better. Think of it as a tug of war. And the more red lines, the more we're going to win the tug of war. It's all natural. There's 120 vegan gel caps in here. This top just flips right up. You can do it with your thumbnail. Flip it right up. My 18-month-old grandchild opened it when she was 18 months old, and which means it's safe. And you do 4 a day, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. And it has been clinically proven in Bill's lab to induce telomerase in human skin cells in vitro. And now I want to show you just a few of the results. I normally, when I do a live presentation, I show a lot more results, but I'm just going to show a couple here so you guys don't have to be staring into a computer all day, but it'll get the point across. I start out by asking people how old do they think Kathy is here, and Kathy's a friend of mine. And Emily's showing Kathy's before and after pictures, because we just have amazing before and after pictures in Isogenics. And her friends are not believing that the before is the same person as the after. So I'll just ask you real quick, how old do you think Kathy is in this picture? Most people say mid-30s. I've heard people go up as high as mid-40s. Kathy is tagged to this post, and she says, hello, these pictures are in fact of me. That's at Fitness America in Las Vegas at 69 years old. I just turned 70 in May. I really do feel like I've been aging backwards, and what else could I possibly give the credit to? Thank you, John Anderson and Bill Andrews. So when we talk about turning back the clock, you can see it how it's turned back the clock. This is not an isolated case, you guys. I had a 92-year-old come up to me in Bend, Oregon at 92. She said, I was in a full-time caregiver facility, and I've been on your product for 4 months. I got out of that facility 2 months ago, and I got my driver's license back 2 weeks ago. This is Kathy at 90, right? Or not at 90, I'm sorry, at 70 right here. 71, I think she is right there. Amy, who is a friend of mine, and Stan came to a meeting I did in Wisconsin, and Amy got her father-in-law, Dick, on it. And I just was with Dick just this last weekend. He came to Celebration, and some of you met him and have taken pictures with him. And he's 82 right here, and he was starting to slip as far as mentally. Some people were even suggesting maybe they ought to put him in a nursing center. And Amy got him on the product. He's 82 here, he's 83 here, he's 85 right here, and he's 87 right here. And he looks great. He's working out, he drives, he lives alone, he does everything on his own. He says, I do a lot of charity work around town and just living a totally normal, healthy life. And I don't want to make it seem like it's just for people who are aged and have degenerative issues that they're dealing with, their health and are in dire straits. 1/3 of the telomere is missing before you're even born. That's how bad it is. We're already attacking and suppressing the human body on a telomere level in the womb before you're even born. This is all factual. They could read that stuff, but they could see it with the microscope. 1/3 of the telomere is missing before you're even born. Nobody knows what it's like to operate at 100%. So, and we should, that shouldn't be happening. That's not like part of the program. That's something that's happening because the chemicals that are getting into the womb, and also because of the dramatic lack of nutrition that's being supporting the body. That's why we're in a health crisis. So I put my daughter on it it says 18 and older on the bottle, but as a parent, and what I understand about the nutrition of this product, everybody needs to be on it, including my kids. So I made the parental decision to put our kids on it. So Madison was about 11 when we put her on it. And she had been going to dance since she was like 8. And at 11, she was going 6 hours a night. She would leave at about 3 o'clock and get home at about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Every night. She loved it. And she's dancing right now in the university in Berkeley, back in Boston. And when I gave her the product the first day, she came home that night and she said, Dad, it's Wednesday, and Wednesday is our hardest workout. We do it every Wednesday. And I don't even feel like I worked out. Is that product you gave me? And I said, yeah, keep taking it. 3 days later, she said, Dad, people are coming up and asking me what I'm on. What do I tell them? I said, just tell them you're on a supplement. If they want to know more about it, to come and talk to me. 3 weeks later, the owner of the dance studio talked to me and she got on it. So it was because it didn't go away. And it was her stamina, it was her recovery, it was her endurance, being able to the core, strength. We put Carter on it, and he was in like 3rd grade at the time. And his teacher called my wife at about 3 days later and asked, "What did you put Carter on?" And we're like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, he's just more attentive. He's not talking out of turn because he's a talker, right? He just seems more focused." And we said, "Yeah, we've noticed it too." And we put him on a supplement. And Carter has on his iPad, and he's going to be 15 here. It pops up on his iPad, "Take your isogenesis." What does he say? He just told me again yesterday. I saw it pop up a couple weeks ago, and I've been sharing that. He just brought it up like yesterday or the day before. And I said, "You still taking your isogenesis?" And it used to be called Product B, so we still call it Product B here. So, "You still taking Product B?" He's all, "Yeah." It popped up on my iPad, and it says, "Take Product B or die." And Johnny saw it, and he said, "Go take your Product B because I don't want you to die." And Johnny's his friend. So this is kind of fun, right? But can totally tell a difference when they're on it. And Jennifer Trinkner, she took Miss Bikini America at 46 years old. I mean, she was on a podcast by Isogenics, and she says that's her favorite product is the Isogenesis. She said, "I pay over $600 a month for the results I'm getting from that product." At 46 years old, last year, she took Miss Bikini America against 20-year-olds. And you had to have had kids, and she has 2 kids. So studying, just being an active lifestyle, you want your cells to be functioning on that optimal level. And what we could really say now, because you know what a telomere is, we want our telomeres to be functioning at an optimal level, right? Short telomeres, not good. Long telomeres, 2 thumbs up. And so you know more about aging and the whole science behind aging than 99% of the world. Even though I've done over 2,000 presentations easily, live presentation, not on webinars, I mean in live audiences, we still, nobody knows about it. Even doctors don't even know what telomeres are. And that's where your problems are resulting or originating. So wouldn't it be important to know where the origination starts so you could address that effectively? So again, just it's a simple, I guess this little picture I really like because it just simplifies it. Long telomeres, live long and healthy. Short telomeres, you're going to have issues. And that's the Nobel Prize winning research. So there's no refuting that. I guess it's just a matter of whether, the skepticism holds you back or, maybe you go forward with skepticism, but you also have hope. But there's so many results. I could show you picture after picture and just keep going on with that. But I just want to keep this to a minimum. I still have some other information to cover here. So now we have a telomere support product, and it's the only one of its kind. There have been copycats that have come out that Bill has tested in his lab that say they're actually better than ours, and they're not doing anything. And Bill didn't even want to test them. He says, because John is the one that asked him to test them, he said, the only way they would know if they were even working would be if they had me test it. That's the only way we could validate it. And they haven't come to my lab to find out if it's working. So he just knew that it was more along the lines of snake oil. But they tested like 6 of them because John asked him to. And none of them had any hits in them. Okay, so now what I want to cover on is what I was introduced to back in 2005. I didn't know that I was shortchanging my body when I was eating healthy. Like I was dramatically shortchanging my body. And it was showing up in the way that I looked and felt and the lack of results. Our bodies have over 100 trillion cells, and they need 90 nutrients. These are essential on a daily basis. 60 of them are minerals, and the other 30 are your key vitamins, amino acids, and fatty acids. And there's other super botanicals that go above and beyond the essentials. So let's talk about this. Now, Food Matters is a documentary that I highly recommend. There's no agenda. They're not selling anything. It's just a documentary. They don't try to sell you anything other than selling you on the idea that you cannot get what your body needs anymore from your produce. And even organic doesn't mean that it has all the minerals in it. So let's talk about this. These are some of the things that I learned after I had the results. And then the results that my friends were getting opened me up to start learning more and more about it. So 1 bowl of spinach, this is a UCLA study, spinach being grown in the US. 1 bowl used to give you enough iron for a week. And iron is one of those 60 minerals that your body has to have. In 2007, how many bowls of spinach do you think you need to get the same amount of iron that used to be in one bowl? And most people will say 7 to 11. Every once in a while, somebody says 20. It's actually 51 bowls of spinach. And it's not just spinach, and it's not just iron. It's minerals across the board. And as a result of these minerals being depleted from our soils, because we started spraying pesticides and herbicides and insecticides, those poisons, right? They killed the ecosystem in the soil. And so the rocks were no longer being broken down into water-soluble minerals by that bacteria, because the bacteria was eliminated through the poisons that were being sprayed over and over again and saturating the soil. So it sterilized the soil. So as you continue to grow, you're going to pull minerals out, but they're not being replenished. And so as time goes by, you get to a point where you can't even get the minerals from your produce anymore. And organic doesn't mean that it has the minerals. And a lot of people don't even know this. They still spray organic with pesticides. USDA certified is the highest standard, and they can still spray them with pesticides. Not as long, but they can still spray them. And people don't know that. If it just says organic on it, I wouldn't pay the extra money. It's probably just the same thing as everything else. USDA certified is what's being checked. But if you read the fine print, like go Google it, you'll find out, they still can spray pesticides the last 2 weeks, and it doesn't mean it has the minerals in it. This is Senate Document 267 or 264, and it just says that you can't get enough minerals from your fruits, vegetables, and grains anymore. Now, on top of that, we've added a lot of poison to the air, water, and food. And that's accelerating the telomere shortening and causing a lot of the other problems that we see. And unfortunately, it's in our food too. Because they spray so much pesticides and herbicides and fungicides. This is the Dirty Dozen. You can Google that, the Dirty Dozen, put fruits and vegetables. It'll give you the most toxic fruits and vegetables that are being sold in the grocery store this year. Celery is always at the top. It just must really absorb the pesticides because it's always near the top. It's on the inside. It's not like you can wash them off and the pesticides are gone. This is in the meat of the fruit and vegetables. So, I mean, these are normal, common, everyday, things that we get. Apples, lettuce, potatoes, sweet bell peppers, strawberries. So it's not a good scenario. I mean, the minerals are gone. There's toxins that are now attacking the body, and our body can't even get rid of them because there's no minerals to supply the body with the fuel that it needs. Because your cleansing organs, your lymphatic system, your liver, your kidneys, they have to have fuel. And carbs and sugar are not fuel that they're looking for to do their job. They have to have the right fuel to have all the chemical reactions that they need to have to get this stuff out of the body. And it's just not there. Now, on top of the produce, this is a crazy statistic. 90% of Americans are eating 95% processed food. They're not even eating the fruits and vegetables, which would be better than eating processed food like Flaming Hot Cheetos and cereal every morning, going to these fast food joints for their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is what they're eating. And so the acidity is really, it's raising the acidity in the human body. When you drop below 7, that's called acidosis. You want to be on the alkaline acidic, you want to be 7.0 to 7.5. Do you know this? Cancer cannot exist in a body that's alkaline. It's too oxygenated. It needs an acidic environment to be able to thrive. And then to feed it, you just give it sugar or refined flour, because refined flour will turn to glucose in your blood faster than sugar will. So you're feeding cancer cells eating a hamburger bun from McDonald's or white bread, the rolls, at Red Lobster. So I know they're good, but the body can convert that to sugar faster, or glucose faster than it can sugar. And look at the acidity. Coffee's a 3, soda's a 2.5 on the acidic level. So we're creating a cancerous environment, and then we're feeding them with the caramel and the whipped cream and the sugar that's added to these things. And so cancer is the number 1 killer. And then it passed up obesity, heart disease. So we're in a health crisis, and it's all food related. Food Matters says good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars. Pharmaceuticals and doctors are not going to make their money on getting you to pH, because that's going to be supplementing, not putting pharmaceuticals in your body. And if you don't need the pharmaceuticals, then you don't need the doctor visit. Do you guys see the, how can I say it, the wrongness to that? It's madness. So I love educating people, because we can be in control of this. Who should be in control of our health? The individual should, but they can't if they don't know. And there's just a lot of people that don't know. So how do we get up to here to 7075 minerals? And guess what our formulator's nickname is by his colleagues? The Mineral Man. John Anderson is known as the Mineral Man. And all of the minerals are in this shake. In fact, there's over 240 nutrients in this shake. And the protein, we have plant-based protein and we have a whey-based protein. But our whey doesn't come from the sick cattle and the gross milk that is causing so many problems for people here in the US. We get it from New Zealand. And we don't heat it up. We don't overprocess it. It's not like oxidated before it even hits the bottle. It's treated with lights, and the enzymes and the amino acids are there. And John Anderson is the only formulator that figured out how to freeze dry digestive enzymes. They're in the products. So that's the delivery system of the nutrients. Wouldn't your food need to have a delivery system? Absolutely. That's why a lot of people's digestive systems just don't work anymore, and why they're not getting what they need. They don't even have the enzymatic processes. That's built in. John Anderson is a genius. And I started taking this shake, and immediately I lost the cravings for this stuff. I have not had a soda and coffee in 13 years. Ice cream, I go months between my ice cream. And I can eat it if I want. I just don't crave it. See, acidic bodies crave acidic food. Alkaline bodies crave alkaline food. So the majority of the time, I am reaching for this. It's my go-to. And what's interesting, and I know it'd be hard for somebody who hasn't been putting this product in the body, but everybody else who has been, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I crave the shake like I used to crave ice cream and soda and Snickers bars. But this is healthy. It has all the nutrients in it. Look what it did for me and what it's maintaining for me in a way that I still get to live my lifestyle in a way that's livable. I get to eat regular food. I get to eat and indulge. But the thing is my body doesn't control me because I'm not down here in the acidity. If I want to indulge, I indulge. It's fewer and farther times between. But if I want to, I will. If I want to have a chimichanga, I'm going to have a chimichanga. But I already got the nutrition in my body to go ahead and help get those trans fats and those preservatives out of my body when they get in there, where other people are putting garbage on top of garbage. So I would say bare minimum, 1 shake a day. But you want to do yourself a favor, do 2 shakes a day. You'll thank me. Susan Sly told me that. She's an athlete and a nutritionalist. She said, teach 2 people to do 2 shakes a day. If they do it and they consistently maintain it, they're going to crave it, and it's going to change their lives, and they'll thank you. So there's my pH after getting on these products. Most people are in the 6s down here. That's an acidic environment. They're already leaching the minerals from their bones and organs to try and get them back up to 7. Right here, my body's not leaching anything from my bones and organs. And my bones and organs are operating optimally because my body got everything that it needs. That's what this says right here. That color says, Dave, your body has everything it needs. And it's because of this. And, before knowing that there were even pH strips, because before isogenics, I didn't know they existed. I could have told you that my body was healthier, at least because I wasn't craving the Taco Bell, the ice cream, the soda, the stimulants that I needed to get through the day. Those just went away. Now, knowing that alkaline bodies crave alkaline food and acidic bodies crave acidic food, I could look back in hindsight and say, oh yeah, that's exactly what happened for me. And here's my pH. The other thing is toxicity. These little black dots represent the toxins that are not leaving the body because we're not giving the body what it needs, the liver, the kidneys, the lymphatic system, to run and do the things that they need to do with the chemical reactions from the nutrients that we're putting in the body. They can't do it. Do you know they find over 300 industrial chemicals in newborn babies' blood? Every time, at least 300. Now, here's the thing. When they get in the body knows that, and it's going to still try and protect you. Since it's not getting rid of them, it'll put them in fat cells. And then the fat cells just get bigger and bigger. And when you go on a diet, you shrink your fat cells and the toxins get released, which triggers your liver to produce more fat. So when you eat the Snickers bar on your diet, when you're in plateau mode, you won't lose any more weight once the toxins have been released out of the fat. Then you'll gain the weight right back when you eat the Snickers bar, because the body's going to produce more fat to make your fat cells bigger and put the toxin back in the fat cell. That's the Newsweek magazine front cover, 2005. So we're a full body nutritional cleanse. What this does is aid the organs to get these toxins out. So here I was on my plateau, and it was cleansing that caused me to release 53 pounds in 8 weeks. That's my personal results. 25 in the first month. Malcolm, or 27 in the first month, 25 days. Malcolm was 25 pounds. So when I released the toxins at my plateau on my diet and exercise program, I released 27 pounds, 53 pounds total. So cleansing is a way of life. I did it on Friday. I usually do it on Monday, but I was traveling so much, I missed the early part of the week last week, so I did it Friday. And this is over 100 active ingredients to support my organs that already know how to detox the body. I'm not forcing my body to do anything. The organs already know how to do this. It's just that they weren't getting the nutrients they needed. And John overlaid a lot of them together that other cultures use in their daily, activities and what they're consuming. And so I would do a half a bottle. I'd do 4 ounces, 4 ounces, 4 ounces, 4 ounces, total of 16 ounces in one day, just evenly apart, about 3.5, 4 hours apart. Drinking as much water as I can throughout the day, good, clean, healthy water, taking in the little snack wafers that my body needs, but I'm not doing shakes or meals. I'm letting my organs rest, kind of like an intermittent fasting, but I'm not fasting because I'm supporting my body with botanicals. And I can't fast. My blood sugar drops too low, and it's unbearable for me. But I could totally do a cleanse day. I do one a week. I've been doing them for 13 years. I love them because of the way they make me feel. That's what I'm in love with. So there's my ISA family. This is all my kids and grandkids. The grandkids do 2 shakes a day. Cosette, drinking it out of the bottle. Here she is at almost 3. She's about to get a new baby, brother or sister. We don't know yet. Sebastian is pregnant. And Mackenzie's had 3 kids. Carter doing his shake with his isogenesis before school. This is Maddie in her dorm. So there's the isogenesis in her shake. My daughter in Hollywood, that's a musician and singer-songwriter. And just my wife, Carrie, it's just amazing. And my daughter and her husband, they do isogenics full-time. They've been doing it for over 5 years together. So let me just show you here. This is, Mackenzie was drinking her shake and London saw her drinking it, and so she wanted some. They see you with the shake, they're definitely going to tug on your shirt. London's almost 3 now. It tastes great. Their bodies crave it. They gave Cosette candy one time, and she spit it out and said caca, because her body's so alkaline. An alkaline body is not going to like candy. Here's another baby on Facebook, Dr. CV's group.
Is that a good shake?
And this is Liddy Flom's grandson at 3 years old. Nobody was making him a shake, and so he went and grabbed the shake canister off the counter and started eating the powder. So she started videoing it. Craving the strawberry shake. Why? Because that's what his body and cells are wanting, and that's a healthy shake. So there's our kids. This is 4th of July this year. They were at the house, and they all were walking around. I'm like, you guys sit down. I'm getting a picture. You're all wandering around with the shake in the house, and I tell people about it all the time. So there's a shot of them doing their shake at our house on 4th of July. These are people who are using the pillars of health. This is my friend Nancy. She's almost 70 years old. She said, I knew I was going to die. But somebody shared isogenics in time. This is her doing push-ups in the gym. This is her now. I mean, look at this. Look at the difference in the body transformation, but also look at the attitude transformation. That's brain chemistry, serotonin and oxytocin, which is produced by the nutrition you put in your body. If you're not getting the nutrition, you're in survival mode. You're ornery because you're not producing serotonin and oxytocin. That's your feel-good chemicals, but you got to have the nutrition to produce those. She couldn't lose the weight after her third child. This is her. People don't believe that that's her, but it is, and she became a millionaire in our company. I think like the 180th millionaire. She's almost 70. That's her. Everett was too skinny. He actually put on weight. He was 112 pounds when he started. He's 82 years old. And this was when I first got into isogenics. And he put on 14 pounds in 30 days doing the same program these guys did to lose weight. She released over 120 pounds in less than a year. This kid was the same. He's a teenager, though. He's not 82 years old like Everett. He couldn't put on muscle. Put on 15 pounds of muscle. And see this right here? That's toxic fat. Your body won't let go of that. As an athlete, figure competitor, it's very difficult to get rid of that. The cleansing got rid of that. So he put on 15 pounds of muscle and lost 5% body fat at the same time because he's doing the shake and the cleanse days. And then my friend Jill Birth, 131 pounds in 12 months. No hanging skin because your body will produce collagen. Jeff at 55 years old. This is her in People magazine. That's Heather as a health coach. This one's amazing. This is one of the more recent ones. This was January this year in People magazine. Isogenics, 439 pounds. Look at her most recent picture. She was just at our celebration, came out on the stage with all the 100-pound plus losers, releasers, I'll say, and she did splits, like multiple splits, just up and down. This is her. That's her. How amazing, right? Anything that's living wants to thrive. Isogenics has nailed it. They did it right. So there's performance packs, there's youthful aging packs, there's the 30-day system, but I mean, there's a solution for everybody. Lori Harder, who's a friend, and she's actually in my organization, she never took a first place. She took 3 first places in figure competition when she got on Isogenics, and one of them was Miss Universe. And these guys, just amazing, the transformation, because the nutrition. So there's the 4 pillars, different areas: performance, healthy aging, energy, weight loss, wealth creation. I didn't understand this part right here. And I didn't want people to feel like I was trying to sell them something so I could make money. I still don't to this day. I've been doing it for 13 years. I don't want people to think that. Now, I'm not going to leave the money on the table if the company's going to, compensate me for sharing their products. I mean, as a mechanic, I was doing it for the owner of the dealership, right? People are out there delivering Pepsi and they're getting paid for doing that. So I'm okay with the company paying me, but I don't want people to think I'm doing this because I'm going to make money off of them. It's the company's going to compensate me. Everybody gets the products at the same price. And so I talked about the shake. I talked about isogenesis. I talked about the Cleanse for Life. I didn't even talk about the Ionic Supreme, which is above and beyond the ingredients your body needs to be at homeostasis. You take 1 ounce of this every day. Olympic athletes are on this because of Dr. Michael Colgan, who founded the Colgan Institute in Canada. He could not believe what was in this, how nutritionally dense this was, and all of the exotic herbs and botanicals and adaptogens, 70 ionic trace minerals. And so he actually joined the company. And he said, I never partnered with any company. And he's 76 years old. So just in anything you add, I would say this is the single greatest one thing you could put in your body. I mean, look what telomeres did for the mice. It's the single greatest one thing. It's the easiest. But anything you add, if you did this in a shake or 2 shakes a day, even just 1 shake a day, it's going to be dramatically better. You add the cleansing to it every time you add something more. But I don't want to be a salesman and say, get the biggest pack and just jump in and do it. That's overwhelming people. I would say, if you need to just get started and it has to be at a low cost, this one right here. And then I would add the shake. Then I would go with the Cleanse for Life. And then I would go with the Ionics. Some people might say, Dave, I would go with the Isogenesis for sure first, and then the Ionics, and then the shake. Okay, so I'm just giving you my opinion. Isogenesis first, shake, cleanse, and they're all essential, but if you had to do it incrementally, that's how I would do it. They changed my life. And not only did we replace the broken window because of Isogenics, we moved into our dream home in 9 months. It wasn't the money I was going after. This is all a result of helping people get their health back. That was the thing that was most important to me right here. But it was about 5 or 6 weeks into it where I had helped people get their health back. I didn't make any money because I was getting the product from the guy we won them from. And their friends were calling me. Their family members and friends were calling me. And so that's when I decided to take a deeper look into it. And what I learned was just get them their own account. Then they can buy the product wholesale themselves. And I don't have to get it from Carl anymore and give Carl my check. And then I get the money from the people that I'm getting it from Carl for. It was a hassle. And so I just got people their own wholesale account, just like Amazon. You go on there and purchase something and it delivers to you. And so once I learned that, that's what I started doing. And I really wanted to make an impact with people's lives. I became a mechanic because I believed I was making an impact in people's lives. The mechanic that helped my dad as a school teacher raising 11 kids, my mom and dad, 11 of us. That mechanic was a huge impact in my dad's life that came over to our house and fixed our cars. And I loved working with my hands. I loved working on cars. I loved getting dirty. And so I became a mechanic because I knew that I was going to make a difference in people's lives, just like that mechanic did in my dad's. So when I started making a difference with people with their health, that was way more fulfilling. I always wanted to be a school teacher, and I wanted to be in health and PE, physical education. So it came full circle. Now, when I decided that I wanted to improve the lifestyle for me and my family, the first goal was to be able to take my wife to dinner and a movie. We had a broken window on that house that stayed broken for years. It needed to be replaced, but my first goal was dinner and a movie. And eventually we got around to replacing the window. We replaced the whole house. But it wasn't like one huge big jump. I'm going to tell you right now, my first check was $22 back then from Isogenics. But I continued to help people, and that check continued to grow. And what I had found out, I was a little nervous on wanting to step into it because I thought I was going to have to buy inventory. And I just, quite frankly, didn't have the money for the inventory, but I was willing to take the risk because my experience and the experience that my friends were having, it was almost a no-brainer. So when I said, hey, show me how to do it, I thought I was going to have to get inventory. They said, Dave, you already ordered enough product that you consumed yourself. Our company doesn't want to turn you into a salesperson. They want to create freedom in your life so that you can then go out and do the things that you want to do. And I'd flip that. I say that you can go out and do the things that God has put in your heart to do. So it looks like my internet is getting a little weak. They said 100 BV. They said between you and Carrie, you're ordering more than that. You're ordering more than double that every month. So why don't you just enroll Carrie, right? So 100 BV would be like 2 bottles of Isogenesis. It's $150 for those 2 bottles. That's a 1 month supply for 2 people. So that's 103 BV. Add the shakes to that, and we're now ordering more than 200 BV a month. So I enrolled Carrie on my right and her brother on the left. And I ordered some of our products through Carrie and some through me. And then we enrolled her brother, Tim, and he started using the products. And that takes you to what they call a consultant. Doesn't mean you're going to say, hey, I'm doing the business. It just means that you're eligible to receive compensation from the company on unlimited depth, 6%. And I didn't understand what that meant, you guys. I just trusted the people who were showing me the way because these guys became my friends. I mean, they are still like my brothers now. And it's like a family. And even to this day, 13 years later. So I just trusted them. Now I know what this means, you guys. Oh my gosh. I know what this means. 6% on unlimited depth, no matter who brings them in once you're a consultant. And this is not about recruiting you. This is about you just seeing an opportunity to impact other people's lives. And on whatever level you want to do that, and whatever level you want to be compensated, maybe it's just to get your products paid for. Maybe it's more than that. I don't know why you're on here, but I'm not going to make the decision for you. So I'll just give you a little example. Let's use Cindy, the home health nurse that shared it with Malcolm. When she got enrolled, she was enrolled by John and Kathy, who are in my group. So when Cindy got enrolled, she's in my group, and she's going to order a certain amount of BV. Well, I got paid 6% when she was enrolled and ordered that BV because I get paid on everybody. And because I'm a consultant, Carrie and Tim are keeping me active as a consultant and myself. So I didn't know that they had enrolled her. And then she went and enrolled 2 people. I didn't know who they were, but when they got enrolled, I got paid 6% on their BV. In 1 year's time, Cindy had enrolled 25 people, one of them being Malcolm. This is Malcolm on a ski lift right there. And she had 950 people in her group. So she's getting paid on all 950, even though she only enrolled 25. Well, I'm getting paid on all 950 just like she is. And so because they pay us on unlimited depth. So it dramatically changed our lives, you guys. I would just say, there's a solution for everybody. The quality of the products, the integrity of the company, and not just that, but their ability. It's so important that you know how to do it, right? And so whether you get started with 1 bottle of Isogenesis, 2 bottles of Isogenesis, a bottle of Isogenesis and a shake a day, maybe you want to use a value pack and get started and get a free membership. The 30-day system, which is the most popular pack, that's included in the value pack, but so much more. This is kind of like the Costco version. The more you buy, the cheaper it is. And so just get back with the person that got you here. And all they need is your name and shipping address and your payment method, and you're set to go. In fact, in a few days, we're going to have where we can put in your order, text you a message with the link, and it will just ask you to put in your own information and put in your payment information, and you're now sponsored by that person, and the products are being shipped directly to you, and you now have your membership in your own website. See, this gives you your own website where you can order as much product as you want at the wholesale price. So if you were to sign up today with the membership, you're going to get the bottle of product or Isogenesis the same price I get it for. I love that about the company. Everybody, whether you're a customer or you do want to do it proactively, everybody gets the product the same price. So they're really streamlining it and making it easier and easier and less, time consuming. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording